The NFL stands for not for long.
Set, Sharga and Armstead. Roll out, Walker still running out. Looks to the left, wide open, Thompson touchdown. Colin Thompson with the touchdown. There was nobody within 20 yards of
What a catch off the bobble. Colin Thompson scoops it up.
Lofting corner, the end zone. It is caught for the touchdown. The first NFL touch for Colin Thompson is a score.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Colin Thompson Show, presented by Not For Long Media and our friends at the original Fudge Kitchen, shipping fudge and sweet treats across the country. FudgeKitchens.com, the best gift to give this holiday season. Give your family and your friends a taste of the Jersey Shore. If you can't make it down the shore, they ship it across the country. I love the Fudge Kitchen saltwater taffy and all their flavors of the fresh, creamy fudge. Really excited to send it over to Colby Cohen in a little bit. Colby and I, through this podcast now, have become friends, and he's a really, really great guy. He's done broadcasting in the NHL. He's played in the NHL. He's played in the AHL. Just second-round pick to the Colorado Avalanche back in the day. Great, great guy from Villanova. Played at Boston University. Had a game-winning goal to win the national championship at BU. The guy's an absolute stud, and has a great little following on Twitter. Check him out. Colby Cohen, really, really good guy. And I think you guys are going to enjoy the episode. There's a lot that we get into about just playing hockey in the Northeast and going to boarding school. Follow him on Twitter at Colby Cohen 36. He's a really good follow. So check him out. Appreciate you guys tuning in to the Colin Thompson Show, presented by Not For Long Media. I hope you guys enjoy the episode. All right, so we got NHLer. You know me, I'm a hockey fan, folks. I love talking puck. Doesn't always pay the bills. I don't care. Colby Cohen, how you doing, man? Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, hey, and likewise, because anytime I get to get in the realm of the NFL, it's exciting. So I'm glad there's all the mutual respect coming back and forth.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So what do you got going on in your life today? I know you're from, we were talking a little bit pre-show, and for those at home listening, I try to keep the pre-show talk as loose and light as possible so we could talk about it on the show. You're from the Philadelphia area.
Yeah, I grew up in Villanova, and most people are like, "Oh, I didn't know Villanova was a town. I thought it was just a college," but it's a town. I grew up with a Villanova street address, a couple, 5 minutes from the campus, which they've done an unbelievable job of building that campus from like when we were young kids. There wasn't a whole lot going on Lancaster Avenue with that campus, but I grew up in that area. I played minor hockey out in, Westchester, and then kind of all over New Jersey. My dad drove me all over the place. Literally a couple of years, I played all the way up in like Brick and Middletown, New Jersey, which is an hour and a half from where I grew up in Villanova, Radnor. So all over the place. And local guy. I currently in Margate, a place I'm sure you know of. Yeah. You pass it to go to Cape May. But yeah, we'll my wife and I and my daughter will resettle back actually in Wayne in the next couple of weeks. Just to kind of put some roots down for a change.
Nice, man. You like Cape May Brewery? You like that beer, Cape May Brewery? You a beer guy?
Yeah, honestly, man, Cape May is a great spot. They've got a number of good things going on down there. Good shopping. I mean, it's a good spot, which I never really ventured to because I never really used to make it past Stone Harbor.
Yep. It gets a bad rap too. Like everyone's like, like where I grew up was like, it's for old people, right? I grew up, let's say 30 minutes from Colby. Colby's a little bit older than me, but 30 minutes from Colby in Bucks County, Doylestown. We both grew up in awesome places, very fortunate. And then Cape May, we went because mom's work. But I hated it because there's nothing to do. There's no boardwalk. There's none of that. And you see it, instead of you go to like Sea Island, the Promenade, or like Stone Harbor, or you're up in Ocean City.
More fun.
Wildwood, yeah. And then you get like, and you turn 21, you're like, all right, I can Uber to Sea Isle, and then I can like hang out here during the day. Like, and then you get a little older, you're like, I'm not going to Sea Isle anymore. I'm just going to stay here. So that's Cape May is a great time.
The bars and the restaurants you guys have in Cape May down on the beach, it's pretty unique, actually. Cape May has more of a New England feeling than the rest of the shore. When you're in Margate, Longport, Avalon, Stone Harbor, Ocean City, like there's a feel. The houses are kind of on top of each other. They all kind of look a lot alike. There's not much on the beach because all the beach is reserved for these like ridiculous homes of these, people. But in Cape May, you come in and there's cobblestone and there's this old sort of New England feeling. It feels more like Cape Cod. It does than the Jersey Shore. So I'm with you though. I didn't discover it until like my mid-20s in Cape May because we never left the Princeton or the Whitebriar once we were like 18 or 19 and we had good enough fake IDs to get into the Princeton and the Whitebriar in Avalon.
Yeah, no doubt, dude. No doubt. I love it. Yeah, no, we love it down there. And people on the show know my mom has retail stores there. My wife and I have a house there. And we were talking pre-show, and Colby's like, I see you're from Cape May. No, not from Cape May. So Wikipedia also says I got in some big blow-up fight with my high school coach, which is crazy because that's never happened. There's like a story about him telling me to stop pointing for first downs. And I got ran over and like I had a high ankle sprain. I was playing through it. And I kind of snapped, like not at him. I've never snapped at a coach in my life. And of course, Wikipedia like heard me talk about it or somehow, some way, right? How they come up with the different things on Wikipedia. It's like, I get asked about that in interviews. I'm like, it's a non-story. I wish it was. Maybe I'd get my street cred up a little bit, but I digress. So it's pretty amazing. Like I've seen, some of your work for, you're involved in a bunch of different stuff. You're coaching, your media, like, and I've seen you from afar, and I was, how Twitter works, the algorithm, you pop up. I'm like, sweet, I'm going to follow Colby. So, like, how does a guy from our area make it to the NHL? Because it's hard. It's hard. My cousin, I don't know if you remember Patrick Thompson. He played he's like from Bethlehem, and he played all over. He played in juniors. He ended up playing at Salve, Regina. And they went to the national title a couple of years ago. He was supposed to go to UConn and Penn State and all these places, and he got sick and hurt and never ended up working out. He played Division III, but I digress. Like he had to move and travel, and they had to do a lot of stuff to like get to a higher level. Where football, it's like Mecca in our area. Basketball, it's right in the backyard. And I played hockey first 8 years. I played it, club leagues, in-house, and I all the way through to my freshman year in high school. And they're like, dude, your football is your shit. Like, just stop. What are you doing? I wish I would have kept playing.
Well, you did catch a pass. You've scored touchdowns in the NFL, so I think you made the right decision. We'll say that.
Thank you. But I still, like, in the back of my head, I'm like, when I'm done, I'm going to put my skates back on and just like see if I can get some sort of tryout or workout. I don't know if that works. And I'm not. It's all respect to the NHL.
It doesn't. It's so different hockey. Like the way you guys do. Like a player just comes in and like does a workout.
Crazy.
I mean, like it's so
that's
it's
what I'm
so
doing
different.
Right now. I'm just training, literally waiting for a workout to get back in.
Yeah, which is, I mean, look, I kind of remember back when, so my cousin Jeremy Bloom was drafted by the Eagles, and he was drafted in 2006. I guess that was like the year before I was drafted. He was 2006, I was 2007. He gets drafted by the Eagles. I get drafted by the Avalanche. So he was from Colorado. So like we literally switched places, which was interesting. But I remember when he came here for his first year or two, like I was in high school. I was a junior in high school, and I wasn't living here because I was playing for the U.S. national team. But like I would come home, and I would obviously spend a lot of time with him. And like I started to learn a little bit about how football stuff works, and I was like, wow, like this is so different than hockey and in the NHL. I mean, even the contract structure and the way guys get waived and signed and waived and signed, and we get a little glimpse of it with Hard Knocks every year. And like when I was like doing a little bit of homework about you, like you've gone through that. Like you've dealt with the signing an extension, waived, re-signed a day later. Like me, like I've been traded, I've been sent to the minors, put on, I've done all that, but it's like so minor league compared to like how you guys deal with it in the NFL, and how crazy it is. Like you said, you're waiting for a workout, an injury or whatever, and you'll go and you know, you'll hopefully it'll happen for you. But it's just it's so different in hockey.
Yeah, and it's 10 minutes, Colby. Like you go in there, no, you don't expect. You always hear the stories. All right, you know, stay in shape. Like I am right now. I'm 3 games away from my pension. So I'm not stopping. I'm training throughout I'm training this year, and I'm going to give next year a shot. I was at the Vikings in training camp. Like That wasn't that long ago. I'm not that far removed. There's guys that are signing on teams. The Vikings are signing out of their practice squad, tight end. He hasn't played since 2020. You know, it's not like it's not like you're going down to the AHL. Like, hey,
right.
You know, a rehab stint and like a Couturier, right, who like hurt his back for a year and then he's out for some time. Like, it's not like that. It's like you're done.
Right.
And then for me at my older age, I'm like, and I've been offered some XFL deals and I played in it. Do I want to take another shot that would take me away from A, the head injuries, but B, take me away from my pension? So that's like where the rubber meets the road. But they're 10-minute long workouts, man. Maybe a little bit longer if they want to condition you a little bit to see if your leg and your wind's good. But you spend literally 12 hours of like physicals, and like they take you on a, like Chicago, they flew me in the night before and then took me to the team hotel, which is right next to the team facilities. And then the next morning at 5 a.m., no breakfast, no nothing. It wasn't like malpractice. It's like, hey, if you want a coffee or a bagel, whatever, grab it. But we're going to take you downtown for x-rays and MRIs to meet with our doctors. So an hour back into the city, then back up. So then you don't even eat. You eat like right before the workout. You weigh in like 5 pounds underweight, which football is really big, what your weight is. And then the workouts, like hit the bag, you know, do some run blocking, do a pass set, run 6, 7 routes, 8 routes, and then you're done. And they're like, all right, we're going to take you. Because they already see your film. They already know what you want. You're just trying to check a box. So,
film. I mean, football is all about the film. I mean, in hockey, I mean, the closest thing I could say was in my last year, I think my 4th year with the Bruins in the organization, they were going to qualify me, and I just was not going back. And I was like, I'm going to Europe. So I went to Finland, and I hated it in Finland. I played there for 2 months, and I just couldn't. I was like, fuck it. If this is what I got, this is it, then this is it. I'll be done. I'll go to the real world. I'll figure it out, whatever. So I came back. I skated with BU, my old college team, for a week. And then Florida Panthers, who had always had some interest in me, they're like, okay, like we'll give you a PTO, a professional tryout, and you can go to San Antonio and play with our minor league team in San Antonio. And that was basically my workout, right? Like, play a couple games, see how you look, and then if you look good, we'll sign you to a contract. And I played 2 games, and I played well, and they actually offered me a contract, but I had tore my groin. Like, I had needed that sports hernia surgery so bad, the one that everybody gets, and they get it here in Philly. Actually, I don't know if you've ever had that or
Doc Will. Yeah, I know.
Yep. Twice. We can talk about that later.
Dude, that's a who's who in that room too. That's a who's who. Like, you sit in that room, tons of guys.
Guys like you and I don't get our jerseys on the wall in that room. No. We're small timers.
One of the guys at Temple told me that he was sitting down the one day, and it was I don't know. Maybe we could combining 2 stories, but hey, let's not let the truth get in the way of a good story. I think the one guy said he was 100% sure JJ Watt was right next to him, and JJ, like, I like JJ. I've gotten to know him through some people. I don't know him personally, but I hear good things about him. But he's serious, you know, like he's a serious dude. Like, that's how CMAC is too. Like, Christian's serious dude. They're the reason why they're elite. But they're super laid back too, and they could be guys too. They can really do both. But you know, JJ was almost like talking shit to the Temple guys. Like, bro, we would have smashed you when I was there. And the kid was like, dude, I'm just like a running back at Temple. Like, we won the 6 games last year, you know? And then I think Dame Lillard was in there when he was there. So it's like those type of guys for sure.
Aaron Rodgers happened to be there when I was there.
There you go.
And I was thinking to myself, like, I hope I go before him, because like if I go after him, like they're gonna be like, put all the effort into Aaron Rodgers, and then like what's gonna happen once I get on the operating table? So no, it was funny. I made a joke to his like assistant. I don't know if you remember her. She was the one who kind of handled all the booking and all the stuff. And I was like, do you guys need a jersey? And like I'm looking at the wall, and it's like Ryan Howard, like, you know, I mean, it's like literally all Hall of Famers, right? And she's like, no, we're good. We don't need one. I'm like, I know, I was just kidding. I wasn't thinking you actually needed one.
One of my main regrets was my buddy used to be a manager at Chickies and Pete's in South Philly. And this is nice because we can talk about this stuff because you're from the area. I don't have to explain what that is. And listeners, it's just like this unbelievable.
My wife grew up in South Philly, so she really would know.
It's the best. We went to the Phillies game last week and went to Palladium and Chickies and went to the game. It was sick. We stayed right down at Live, the new casino, which was really nice. When they closed it out, man, it was really cool. I didn't know what to expect. It was It was a freaking great time. But where was I going with the story? Oh, the manager at Chickies. He was like, bro, I'll put your jersey up here in the back room. You know, if you walk into the left-hand side there, way in the back, they have those private rooms. He's like, I'll put your Temple jersey up in here. I'm like, dude, I do not deserve to get on this wall, and I will not be the one that gets like, who the F's this guy on the wall? I don't want to be that guy. I should have just said yes. You know, in hindsight, like, dude, check your ego at the door. Like, just get on the wall. Put your Temple jersey on the wall. Why not? But I digress. I want to go back. Go ahead.
But hold on. I'll say something to that. I totally get that though, and I'll tell you why I get that. Because, look, did you and I? We made it to the highest level of our sport. You know, like you're still trying to go. But like, look, we're competitors, and you and I both dreamed of being Hall of Famers. We dreamed of being All-Stars. You dreamed of being an All-Pro. You dreamed of winning Super Bowls. I dreamed of all the same things, and while we made the top level, neither of us achieved that. And that's not to be disrespectful. And so that's just the competitiveness where it's like, no, like I shouldn't be on the wall, where most people look at you and they're like, dude, you caught a pass from Teddy Bridgewater. Like you played in the NFL. Like, I mean, like that's gotta be such a crazy feeling. You catch a football in front of 70,000 in the NFL, in front of God knows how many millions. I mean, it's football, NFL. I mean, it's a whole nother league, but I feel the same way. Like when people when I get like I got inducted into the Philadelphia Jewish Sports Hall of Fame a couple of years ago. And like, I'll be honest, like I felt wildly uncomfortable. I'm like, I really am not a Hall of Fame athlete, but like, I understand it's a smaller contingency of people. There's not a lot of, high level like Jewish hockey players or athletes in general, but there's more actually. There's more and more. There's actually a lot in the NHL right now, which is cool. But I kind of felt the same way. I'm like, do I really deserve it? And people are like, trust me, you played in the NHL, you deserve it. You played Division I, you're an All-American, you're not, and I'm like, all right, but I get where you're at with that. Like, I really do. I get a lot of those same feelings because again, like I envisioned like, being a Hall of Famer and being an All-Star, and like, that didn't happen.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, it's something you probably digest a little bit more when you get older. And you can appreciate
and when you're
more.
done too.
When you're
you
done,
really
right?
get the perspective when you're done. You really do. Like I know you're I mean, look, you're on the back nine, right?
Yeah, for
so
sure.
you gain that back nine perspective, but then once it's fully done, it takes a little time, and then you really start to, because you're doing other things. Like you get a new set of goals and a new focus, and that's kind of where you go with it.
Yeah, no doubt, dude. Yeah, I hope to continue to go. We'll see how it goes. It's been a hell of a run if it is not. And I played my best football and this past fall, which was so super cool to do, coming off of an injury. I know you've had them where you're like, well, here we go. Hope this works out well. And then you're like, shit, I'm balling. I'm doing things that I didn't do before, and I feel really confident doing what I do. But I want to go back to the original question, and that's why I like to just keep this free flowing, because we're getting all this different stuff. Where if I asked you any question, I don't know if I would have got that answer out of you about ego and all these little things. That's why I love doing it this way. So let's go back. How does a freaking dude in Villanova going to Flyer Skate Zone and Hatfield Ice and all these different places I played at, Face-Off Circle where I grew up playing, in Warminster, right where Archbishop Wood is, where I went to school. Man, I wish I should have freaking played hockey. So how do you make it to the league, man? Like, how do you get
my dad?
Yeah,
my dad.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad had a vision. And if it wasn't for his willingness and his vision, look, obviously I still had to do it and I still had to be talented enough, but like my dad, he drove me to the water every day for my whole life. He took me to the water and he's like, okay, like you got to drink it. But like, he took me to it. And like days when I didn't want to drink the water, he pushed me into the water to make sure I drank it. Like, I'm talking like, power skating coaches. He's taken me to Canada all summer. I mean, I spent a lot of my childhood spending like 7 or 8 weeks in Canada working with this crazy Russian skating coach named Dr. Shmushkin. And I know that doesn't sound like a real name, but you can look him up. He's real. And he would have us doing like on ice carousels, doing edge work and springboards and just, dude, the craziest shit. And my dad was just so committed and I loved it. Like all I did was think about hockey as a kid. I mean, I'd sit there in school in Radnor and Eithan Elementary and like those little marble notebooks we had. And like we didn't have phones. There was no like, Wi-Fi and all that shit, obviously. So like we couldn't just go on the app and look at the roster. So like I would sit in class and I would just from memory write down like NHL rosters. Like I would start with like the Flyers, and then I would do like the Devils, the Rangers, and like the Avalanche, the Red Wings, because they were on TV a lot when we were kids because they had that great rivalry. So like I was obsessed with hockey. We had a little room in our basement that was sport court, and my dad had like little boards up. I lived in the room. Like I lived in that room. I played ball hockey every day. I shot pucks down there every day. I'd invite friends over. We'd play like 2-on-2 tournaments. I had older brothers. We'd play. I mean, we lived in that room. As we got older, my dad flipped it to synthetic ice. So then like puck, you could really work with a puck on the synthetic ice. And you could be on your skates, even though it was really new technology and it wasn't great. But like, I was really bought in. Like I really was, because it's all I cared about. It's all I thought about. And my dad was like, okay, like I'll drive you. Like, and so you said it, like I'd go to skate zone after, I would have practice on like whatever Monday and Wednesday for the junior Flyers. Right. And then on Tuesday, I'd go to the other team's practice for the junior Flyers as a team a year younger. On Wednesday, we'd go to the team a year older. And then on Friday, I'd have power skating with Travis Howe, who is Gordie Howe's grandson, and he used to be the hockey director at Skate Zone in Voorhees. So I was on the ice every single day working on things. At one point, there was this skills coach named Sean Skinner, and he used to like run camps all over the U.S. This guy was an unbelievable stick handling coach. And like my dad linked up with him, and like he started doing camps in our area, and he'd stay at our house. So he didn't have to pay for a hotel or anything. And him and my dad became friends, and they were going to build this big training facility. And like I would go to his camp every single day. And then we'd come home from his camp and we would stick handle and do all this stuff in the basement. So my dad was like so committed. And obviously my mom had to be okay with it, which she was. My mom was great, kind of like looked after my other brothers, while my dad just like really honed in on my hockey. But that was it. Like just me being willing and loving it so much, and him being willing to like be in the driver's seat with me. Because what I say to hockey parents now is like, you need to be in the driver's seat, but your son needs to be in the front seat. And that's like until they're probably like 15. And then like once they hit 16, you need to stay in the front seat, but you need to switch, and he needs to go to the driver's seat and you need to go to the front seat. And then once they hit 18, then you need to go to the back seat and you need to become a fan, and you need to become just like a parent and a cheerleader and a fan. And so like my dad was a little crazy, people said, not a yeller, not a screamer, never had to, because he just like, that was just like not his style. But like there were days where like it was Friday and like my friends were going to a mixer at the Villanova Skating Center, and like I was in Pennsauken or Voorhees like working on power skating. And like some of that shit ate me up a little bit when I was a kid, but like at the end of the day, like I did it, and like it's why I got to that point and had that opportunity, was because he was willing to like push me into those areas. So I would say like it was a partnership that was probably like 50-50. Maybe it started with him 70-30, and then it became 50-50, and then 60-40 for me, and then so on and so forth. And that's really it. Like, so I know it's a long answer, and there's obviously intricacies of where I played, and I moved away from home at 15. I was playing in a junior league in Canada for the Syracuse Stars my sophomore year in high school. So like I went to 4 high schools in 4 years.
Yeah, that's that hockey grind. That's why I asked that question. I mean, listen, man, it paid off. You're a part of a Stanley Cup winning roster. You won a national title, game-winning goal. That's incredible. You have friends and bonds for life, and I know, and that's anything for any kid, right? Like I spoke to a youth football team yesterday, Mount Carmel Romans, where I grew up with. And we had a guy that played lacrosse at Harvard from this team. We had, we have guys that are successful in business. I played in the NFL for 7. And then we have Ryan Archidiakono, who played at Villanova. Ryan and I played football together growing up. He's with the Knicks. He's still playing. So, like, I was like telling him, like, it's super corny, but when we get back together, we talk about playing 7th and 8th grade football together and all these great moments. And that's the hardest part about hockey in our area, is because you're not going out with your buddies later to get a slice of pizza that you just were playing football or basketball with. Like, you're driving hours to go play. Like, the amount of time my cousin was driving to Albany and to freaking Michigan and like to Lake Placid and all these different tournaments, man. It's not an easy sport to make it in from our area. It's hard.
No, you don't see it. I mean, Eric Tangradi, if you know that name, he'd be a great guest for you to have on your show, by the way. He grew up in Roxborough. He played with Crosby in Pittsburgh. Him and I were in the same draft. He was like a late developer, but then he actually ended up being a better, like I was, he developed late, but then he ended up having a better pro career, like was a better player than I was. He works in real estate now and he's been successful with that, but he'd be a good guy for you to get on here, and I can totally connect you guys because he's another Philly guy. But him and I were kind of like the first ones. There weren't really any ones before that. Since there, we've had a lot of South Jersey kids go on to be pretty successful. Like obviously Johnny Hockey, and then like the Robinson brothers are both in the
Boucher,
one's in Russia. Tyler Boucher was just a first-round pick. Because, a lot of these Flyers have stayed around here. And, like, look at Keith Primo's kid. He's in the American League. He's played some games. So there's more.
The rink right there.
Right.
They have all, sticks.
Yeah.
Like a Canadian kid would have growing up next to, outside of Toronto.
Exactly. There's 500 rinks in Toronto, literally. Yeah. I mean, they've got more rinks in the greater Toronto area than we have in the state of Pennsylvania, most likely. I
believe it.
Seriously. So, but what I will tell you is there's one thing that you were talking about, all the camaraderie of going to get the pizza and doing all that. What was cool about hockey was because of the driving, you were in hotels a lot. And like when we were little kids, we had a lot of fun playing exactly. And like, we still talk about that stuff too. I mean, I've got a couple of friends who, I really did grow up playing hockey with that weren't necessarily from the Philly area, but they're from the tri-state area. Like James Van Riemsdyk is one of them. Kevin Shattenkirk is one of them. We started playing hockey together when we were 10, 11 years old, with and against. Like we'd play summer hockey together, and then he was on the Devils, the youth Devils. I was on the junior Flyers. So, we'd see each other all the time, and this is before cell phones, before Instagram, before Snapchat. So obviously like the relationships had to be built differently, but those are three guys that, we've all been at the altar together in our lives. And those are three guys we were all drafted at the same time, and we've got to live this whole journey together, and they're some of my best friends, and guys that I truly love. And now we're all having kids, and it's cool. Like Shaddy and Reamer are playing together in Boston right now. And like their kids are going to, this whole year, they're going to get to be together. It's probably not going to last because neither of them are on long-term contracts, but it's really cool to see like now, like their kids are literally neighbors in this condo building in Boston. And so it's like another generation, but it's a different vibe. You're right, because you don't, it's not like you're just going out back and shooting hoops and you're driving to the rink. I mean, the closest rink for me was Haverford, Havertown or whatever. It's like maybe 20 minutes. And then Westchester Ice Line was like 30 minutes. So, there's a lot of car time, and that's why I brought my dad up, and I'm sure there's a similar story for you. I'm sure you needed a parent to have your back and ride with you, but in hockey you really do need it, because like my dad probably put 1 million miles on our car over the course of a lifetime of driving. I mean, I might be exaggerating at some level, but like we were going to Toronto 8 times a year. I mean, like, and we were going to, like you said, everywhere and anywhere, and that was constant. And it's worse now. It really is worse now. Youth hockey.
No, I mean, my parents, I mean, I've said on the show a million times, I don't have a show. No one gives a shit what I have to say. If I don't play in the league, I'm playing the league without my parents. It's not happening. Like I got my media career because my dad, he retired when I was like early in high school, and he was working, but company transitioned to something else. And he drove me to school every day. And we listened to Mike and Mike in the morning. And he was like, hey, this is how you articulate. This is how you ask questions. If you like this stuff, listen to these guys. So we listened every day, and I listened intently. I didn't just like listen to like put my head back and like drink my chocolate milk on the way to school. I like listened intently. So it got my passion in the media direction. Like, hey, I can do this football thing and I can go in this route, and kind of the rest is history with that. Right. And then huge with like visualization and like overcoming, obstacles, like different things in your life, personal things that I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to freaking drive to Lake Placid right now. I want to go with my friends to prom, all those personal things that I'm sure you had to go through. I went through the same ones with football to some extent. And my parents are unbelievable with it. Vision boards and visualization. And I'd have quotes my dad would take painter's tape and print out like big famous Notre Dame quotes and like put them all over the house, or like have breakfast ready when I come down and he have like all these freaking motivational quotes, like unbelievable stuff. My parents have moved mountains for me to get where I need to go. And I play in the NFL where a lot of guys don't have parents. And the fact that they got to where they are, very much not like hockey, I would assume, a lot of dual parent households, or at least one parent. Football, it's hit or miss, right? So
shows how talented those guys are, doesn't it?
It's amazing. And a bad rap of the type of guys they are, whatever it may be. Amazing men that, it's funny in football, you get this rap of these bad guys, whatever it may be, no matter what skin color you have, no matter what it is like, because of the sport, it takes a certain amount of violence, it takes a certain amount of being a little bit of a prick. And it's hard to turn that switch on and off. I don't think people realize that. I know you understand it, but no, man, some of my best friends in the world, man, come from NFL, and they were put up for adoption multiple times, or they don't have any parents, don't know their parents, brothers have passed away, really tough thing. So I digress. I want to move forward. There's so much to talk about. Let's just go media-wise. What are some of the stuff you've been up to media-wise? Some stuff you've done in the past, some cool moments there, man. I go through your Instagram, I do a little prep for the show, and there's so much to attack there, but I kind of want to leave it to you. Like, what are some of your fun moments when you're doing media?
So, I love doing the Frozen Four and the national championship. I mean, that is my, I look forward to that. The day the Frozen, we do the national championship game April 9th, 10th, or 11th every year. It usually falls on one of those 3 days. And then the 12th, the 13th, the 14th, I'm really sad it's over. And then by like the 16th, I'm like already looking to see where we're going next year. So I get to work for ESPN. I do some regular season games, but I do the NCAA tournament, on the number one crew with John Butchergross and Barry Melrose. Barry, actually, I don't know if you saw the news. Barry's retiring from doing it. He's been dealing with a health struggle. He's actually been dealing with it for a couple of years. But he was finally kind of ready to go public with it. But like those two guys, they're like, they're just two of the greatest people in the world, Barry and Butchie. And like, we just have so much fun for that 2 weeks of doing the NCAA tournament. I forget, it's really the only time I do TV where I forget I'm on TV. That's like the old sort of cliche thing. Yeah, just act like you're sitting on the couch talking about sports. Like that's what every TV producer and every network will ever tell you if you're ever, doing job interviews to go on TV. Just act natural, right? Well, with those guys, it really is just like totally natural. We have such a close relationship, the three of us, and it's so unique because Barry's in his mid 60s, Butchie's in his 50s, and I'm 34. We started working together 6 years ago. So like I was in my late 20s even at the time. So there's such a huge age gap, and like we're all so different. Butchie's got the TV background. Barry Melrose. Like Legend. He coached Gretzky, and the guy grew up on a farm in Saskatchewan, like getting woken up at 4 a.m. to like go like mine the fields and like do the like farm shit. Like we like laugh about it all the time, how like I grew up in like, in my like on the main line in PA, and like Barry grew up on like a farm. Like it's like part of our relationship is, but we're so different, but we're so close that we have so much fun doing the national championship and the whole Frozen Four in the NCAA tournament. And, for me, it was the greatest moment of my hockey career was the NCAA tournament, the national championship game. Winning that game was incredible. Scoring that goal is something that I say I'll never forget, but unfortunately, like my memory is so freaking blurry from that night because the adrenaline was so out of this world. So just when you combine all that, like I get to do the NCAA national championship every year for hockey, and it's my favorite thing to do in the world. I look forward to it. I'm already looking forward to it. I had dinner with John Butchergross on Wednesday at Barclay Prime because he's doing the Flyers game last night, so he came in on Wednesday. So we're already like looking ahead. You know, we got Minnesota this year, then St. Louis, and then Vegas actually is in 3 years. So we're both like, look, let's just make sure we stick it out through Vegas, and then we'll regroup. Yeah. But that's my favorite thing. It's unequivocal, you know, hands down my favorite thing to do. I think it's my best work. The team of people we get to work with for that event are like super high level producers, directors. I mean, it's really, really, it's just awesome. And then my like sort of day job for the last couple of years has been working for the Chicago Blackhawks. You know, being between the benches for them for home games, being in the studio for them for away games. The year before, I was doing a lot of games in the booth because Eddie Olczyk was just having some health difficulties that year, and his schedule was hectic with the first year of TNT. So, you know, worked for the Blackhawks for the last couple of years. And previous to that, I worked for the Flyers for a couple of years doing studio for them. So
that's where I first saw you.
So I've bounced around, and you know, I haven't really stuck anywhere. You know, obviously they don't think I'm good enough to stick. I haven't really made a lot of friends with the fans in these cities to date. You know, I am pretty opinionated, and I'm not really afraid to go back at people. But yeah, it's been a cool ride for me doing the NHL the last couple of years. I mean, previous to that, I had only done radio for the NHL. Like I was working for Westwood One. I was doing the Winter Classic. I was doing playoffs. I did the Olympics in Pyeongchang, which was really cool to be in Pyeongchang and do all the Olympics, call the U.S. women's last gold medal that they won in Pyeongchang, which was cool. Obviously the American team kind of sucked that year, which was disappointing, but a lot of friends were on the team. The coach was Tony Granato, who's a guy who drafted me to the NHL as a friend. I mean, just it's cool to be kind of teed up with USA Hockey like that over in Pyeongchang. So yeah, it's been a ride, the whole media thing, doing the NHL stuff. I've gotten lucky, I feel like, because typically you don't see a player that didn't play for a team in their broadcast booth on a regional broadcast. It's just really not something you see anywhere. So I feel very fortunate to have had those opportunities, and we'll see. I don't know if I will do that again this year. I've got, you know, probably about 20, 25 college games on my schedule for different networks scattered throughout the year, which I kind of enjoy doing more anyway. Yeah. And then, you know, probably regroup in the off season and see if there's any opportunities. But after going to Chicago and signing a multi-year contract and then getting bought out halfway through that contract and being let go, I don't think with kids, like with I think we're kind of done with that. Like I lived that life as a hockey player. And I think I'm done with that life of moving around and moving my family and chasing the next job. So the NHL stuff's probably not another alleyway that I'm going to pursue unless the Flyers, you know, were to have an opportunity for me somewhere down the line. You know, obviously they're very, very loyal to their alumni base, very loyal, especially with Jonesy taking over. I think he sees and knows the importance of that. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of been it. Like, it's been a good ride. It's been fun. You know, I'm fortunate to still do the college stuff and, you know, kind of just see where it goes.
I had a blast with radio. I don't know about you. I've done TV stuff. Radio is fun, man. Like, you don't have to address the camera. So it's such a different, I felt like I was such more of a team. Now you have obviously your team member when they're calling the game, Butchie's calling the game, and you're a color guy, you're between the benches, you're whatever. I don't know, man. I did radio. I called Temple football games my first 3 years out of the league. I made $200 a game. I loved it.
Yeah, it's nothing, right? Yeah.
I loved it, though. Like, travel with the team. I was fresh out, so I still knew all the staff and all the players, and I was still training. So, shit, we play ECU on a Thursday night at 8 o'clock. Wednesday night, we get in. I'm like, all right, what are we doing? We go rip it up, and then I'd take a nap the next day, get a big workout in, and then call the game, and then fall asleep on the plane the way home. I'm like, this is too much fun. But I earned it, for my playing time, just like you have. And it's a good point you bring up about. It's interesting, the NHL. So the NFL, I was on a call the other day. I'm hosting this show for Sirius XM Radio now, Tuesday nights, and I've got the connections through it, and I put a ton of work in to get it. But really, down the line with it was, I forget where I was going with the situation. Sorry, I don't know. You good? You need to leave? I don't want to make sure you're.
No, I'm good. I got my dogs are coming in.
You're good.
Just came in to say hello.
I don't want to take away from your daddy duty. Where was I going with it? Oh, the NFL has this awesome broadcast boot camp that they put you through everything, like calling a game on the radio, sitting down at a desk at intermission, talking through different things, and they call a game on a TV, you host a podcast, all this stuff. And they're like, they need this for other sports. The NHL should definitely do that because there's so many.
They don't have it.
There's so many guys that go back and do it now, and
they suck and they're terrible. There's a lot of really bad ones.
They struggle. They do. And you'll see guys like NHL networks trying to bring guys in and they'll send them to the affiliate. They're like, hey, get a job working for, use the Flyers, for example, right? Like, I'm not going to talk about any names. It's not my deal, but you'll see a guy doing the Flyers thing because they're trying to groom him for NHL network. It's tough, but it's different. I think this too. It's tough in the hockey culture. The hockey culture, you don't talk about stuff. Like, you're not open. Football guys, we're constantly talking to the media. So it's not that hard. It's not that big of a jump. Now, of course, there's challenges and there's different levels to former players that do media, but it's a part of the hockey culture. Like, you don't tell the truth. You don't say a lot.
It's team. It's we.
Awesome.
You don't call.
Awesome.
You don't call shit out. You don't. Yeah. Well, that's why guys like Jeremy Roenick are important because JR is not afraid to say what's on his mind. And it's on Wit. Yeah, exactly. Wit, Biz, those guys aren't afraid to speak their mind. It's one of the reasons I like
you a ton, but continue.
Yeah. Uppy and those guys. Right. Yeah. No, but that's why one of the reasons I like doing college is I can say more. Honestly, these guys aren't my friends. I have a resume that stacks up with anybody from the NCAA and my playing career. So I'll say whatever I want. In the NHL, I find myself being a little more respectful within my criticism and my critique. And maybe respectful is the wrong word because I'm not disrespectful to college players either, but just
guarded.
I just know how hard it is at the NHL, and I've probably made all those mistakes. And so it definitely creates a problem. But I think that what you said, the boot camp, the media boot camp thing, the NHL should do that because they put guys on at NHL Network and they put guys on in different roles in region. And they're look, I've worked with a broadcast coach the last couple of years. I go and get my film. I get critiqued. I beg for hard coaching because that's the only way I know it. Where a lot of guys a lot of analysts that work at ESPN get zero feedback. Zero. Maybe football's different, but in hockey, these guys don't get any feedback. Me, when I get done, I go to Butchie and I'm hey, where was I bad? Because Butchie's been doing it for 35 years. And he gives me little things all the time. He doesn't eat my lunch, but if I'm doing certain things, he'll coach me through it. He's helped me with different skills within the broadcast that I didn't really have. We were talking and laughing about it at dinner the other night because AJ Malesko was also at dinner. That's who called the game with him. And we were talking about how different networks, some networks like the analyst to take you to break, some networks like the analyst to bring you out a break. And it just depends on where you're working. And ESPN likes when analysts take you to break. And AJ was telling us how she's not that comfortable with it. And I was yeah, I know what you mean. But Butchie kind of pushed me and made me do it when I was uncomfortable. And then he'd be okay, here's what you could do differently, blah, blah, blah. And then now all of a sudden, now I like doing it. Now I'm comfortable doing it. And that's all from Butchie just kind of being a little bit of a coach and a little bit of a mentor and helping me with that type of stuff. And I can name, Billy Jaffe and Dave Starman and other guys, some NHL, some college level people, bosses I've had at ESPN. This guy by the name of John Vassallo has been a huge sort of mentor and coach for me in my broadcasting career. But man, that's the only way to get better it's just like playing. Like you need film, you need to be critical. You need to learn the ins and the outs. You got to constantly watch film, study, prepare. If you don't know your board and know the players and you're behind on all that shit because you didn't prepare for the game, even though you won't use 90% of it, you've already lost. You already can't do a good enough job, especially on television. So it's just all part of it. If you want to be good at it, I treat it just like I treated playing. Like my preparation, I might prepare more for a broadcast than for a game. I guess maybe not, because for a game you're practicing every day and this and that. But like when I'm doing a broadcast, I mean, if I have like this year, I'm doing 1 or 2 games a week or weekend. Like I'm spending a couple of days, 3, 4, 5 days, like learning players' names, watching film on the team, stuff like that. Like because I have the time and that's just the only way I know how to do it.
I love it, man, and that's the grind. Honestly, I feel the same way. Because if not, then you don't feel comfortable doing the show. Like,
yeah,
how can you sit in and be remotely comfortable if you're not putting the work in? And that's a couple guys. That's what they exposed a ton of at that boot camp. Was like, it's funny. I just got a text from Larry Flowers, by the way.
That's a mutual friend of ours.
He said, "Tell him I said what's up. He's the best guy." And I said, "Do you know him?" He's texting right now. It's horrible. He's coming on right after you here. So,
yeah.
I've known Larry pretty well for a little bit. He said we're very good friends. So he's a great guy, Larry.
Yeah, well, he got my wife, my now wife, situated with her wedding ring, with her wedding band. Yeah, I've known Larry a long time. Maybe I don't know. 10 plus years or something like that. So I just saw him. He was down the shore, I don't know, a couple months ago. I met his new girlfriend and stuff like that. So yeah, he's been in our life for sure, based on his work and just based on seeing him in Margate and going to dinners and stuff like that. So yeah. No, it's he'll be a good guy to get on your show too, because he's got stories like for days, Larry. He's got much better stories than me. Yeah.
This will be we did an interview together this summer, because when I join a team, I'll start, if I know if I'm getting signed, I'll do like 10 interviews. So then I have a bunch of, evergreen interviews I could use. I'll do a little intro to them, talk about the sponsors, and then boom, send it to them. Well, I got cut at the end of training camp. So I have a bunch of stuff I'm doing. And, I was planning to have Larry come out like now, start of NHL season. And then I've just been doing so much Eagles and football stuff. It's kind of not really on the front burner, as you know. So whatever. Long story short, Larry.
Hold on, I got to ask you something. I know it's your show and you're the one asking the questions.
I love
right?
it. But shows are good. The show starts when the guest asks the host a question. I firmly believe that.
Let me ask you a question. What's that like? I've seen Hard Knocks, and I've been cut and sent down and traded. So what's that experience like in the NFL of that meeting when you get cut? Because I want to hear what you have to say, and then I want to tell you sort of my opinion, and I kind of want to know if we look at it similarly. So like you get cut at the end of training camp this year. Like give me some insight into that meeting or that process, how that went.
So you're in your hotel room and you know what's coming. Pretty much. You're thinking, okay, maybe practice squad. I don't know if I'm gonna make the roster. We'll see. Hey, we're going to come pick you up. Colin, bring your playbook. We're telling all players in the building they're bringing their playbook. Okay, great. I'm getting cut. You don't have to pat me on the back. This is my 10th one, maybe more. So you walk in.
That's a good point.
Right. Yeah, you're with the head coach and you're with the GM right away. And they're just upfront, honest. We love you. You're our guy. If something goes wrong, we need a guy. You've done a great job for us. You've done everything you're asked. A lot of people vouch for you in this building, and you exceeded expectations. And now you're one of us. We now believe in you. Where a scout may believe in you and a coach may believe in you. When a GM and the head coach say that was cool. And that's how it went down in Minnesota. So that was great. Now I haven't got any calls. They haven't used a ton of. They're not really using their multiple tight end sets as much as they probably. I think 1 or 2. They have a fullback. Different things. So that's kind of how things go there. It's just like anything, like in the NHL.
All right. So I got a follow up for you. Yeah. Do you buy that? And that's where I was going with this. Like that conversation you had with them. Do you really buy that? Or do you feel like maybe it's a part true. Like where are you with that conversation? And then I'm going to tell you where I am with it, because I've had that same conversation year after year at the end of training camp.
I buy it because I played well. I've had it where I have not played well, and I didn't buy it. But I buy this one. I've also had it when I played well, and they're like, dude, you didn't perform at a high level. You didn't beat these guys out. I've had it. I don't know if football's more straight shooting, but I've got some pretty rough ones, and I've got some great ones. And like usually when you meet with more than just the head coach and the GM, where like 8 other coaches request you, like on your way out the door, you're in a good spot. And that's what happened.
Yeah, because you left an impression on those guys.
Yeah, so I met with special teams. I met with a defensive analyst. I met with the tight end coach. I met with the linebacker coach. I met with the quarterback. I met with the OC, not the quarterback coach. So I met with 5-6 people. The strength coach wanted to see me.
Right.
So they're like, listen, we hope you're back. Every conversation's like, I hope you're back, bro. But if you're not,
that's nice.
We love you. But I've had bad ones. I've had bad ones.
Yeah.
Now hold on. Before you go on your story, we gotta get this guy in here.
Oh, look at this with the Phillies jersey. He's got his own studio. Look at him.
Boys, how are you?
Larry, what watch are you wearing today? That's what I want to know.
Today's the 5981R. It's a big day. It's Friday. Phillies need a win. I got my tarp on. Flowers tarp. 25.
Oh, he would have a custom jersey. Now
I only wear Flowers jerseys. That's my.
The nice thing is you have
other players.
You have a great last name, so like it's awesome. Like it. But now, do you just like go into the watch case and you're like, this is what I'm going to wear today, or this your personal collection?
No, that's exactly what I do. I mean, we have over 300 watches here in the office, and whatever kind of mood I'm in. Sometimes I'm in a very simple mood. Sometimes I'll wear something like a nice white gold date, something in the 40, 45K range. Just a regular day. Sometimes I want to be a little louder and wear something that's a little more unique, like maybe a Daytona Oyster Flex rubber strap. And then some days I want to, pull my junk out and flex a little bit and put on a big boy watch like the one I'm wearing today. It's Friday, so you got to feel good. I'm trying to put out as much positive, good energy about this Phillies game today, about the Eagles coming up this week. I'm in one of those moods.
Now, what's the most expensive watch? What's the most expensive watch you have at the store?
Oh boy, I have a. I don't even know if I'm really supposed to talk about this, but fuck it. I have a. I got a 5711 Patek Philippe 5711 Tiffany. There's only 170 in the world. We're selling it for close to $3 million, and we're one of the few that have it. It's the watch that like LeBron.
You're gonna need another contract, Colin. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah,
$3 million. I'm gonna have to.
Crazy.
Listen, pal, that ain't happening. Not even remotely.
I'm gonna have to rob a bank.
I know. Even if you rob a bank, I don't think they got enough these days. But we have a lot of incredible pieces here, and it's awesome working with luxury watches and stuff, and great people.
I will, and we were talking about you before you came on the show, Larry. And I will vouch for Larry. Like, he'll take care of you. So if you're getting married, you want to watch for your whatever, like I always say this about Larry, like you won't get a better, if you want it like a Rolex or something, like, look, there's only so much these guys can do because like they need to make money too. But like Larry's willing to make less money on the watches that he sells for people. Like I've witnessed it. I know everybody who has a watch from him, he gives you the best price. Like I said, my wife, if we would have gotten her diamond somewhere else, I wouldn't have been able to afford it. So he went out and found me the diamond. I told him, this is what I want to spend. I want something nice. And he's like, all right, if you're patient, I'll go find it for you. And he did. So she was happy. I have seen some of her friends get engagement rings and cry because they didn't like it. And their husbands spent a bunch of money on it and got them something they didn't like. So like that experience for us was like, I can vouch for it. We are customers. We're longtime customers, and that's the only place we go for this stuff. So, and I'm not getting paid to say that, by the way.
The official jeweler.
Colby, I appreciate you, bro.
The official jeweler of the Cohen household, the official jeweler of the LA Kings, and of course the Minnesota Vikings.
And most of the NHL. I mean, most of the guys in the NHL go to Larry at this point.
All my buddies are the Vikings now. They're like, right when I get to camp, they're like, yeah, I'm looking to buy a Rolex. I'm like, who are you talking to? They're like, well, I'm like, why aren't you talking to Larry? He's like, who's Larry? I'm like, here's my boy.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Colin. Colby, I appreciate you both. Listen, when you run a business and you consider yourself a guy's guy and someone that, So I like to take care of people. I really do. Listen, I'm a volume dealer. I'm only best of the best, top of the line for your budget. There's very, very few people in my industry that have access to diamonds direct from manufacturer overseas before they even hit market, which means you're basically skipping 2 steps. If I should find you something that's direct from manufacturer, and I offer to you, you're basically skipping 2 steps and saving that amount of money when it gets to you. And, but again, you sleep good at night when you take really good care of people. You give them a really good quality product. The price is right. You gain clients for life. Listen, you also gain friends for life. I can't tell you how many people I've become friends with through my business, just people that I've never met before. And then eventually I become friends. And that's a really cool aspect of what I do as well. So there's a lot of people in my life now that have become really good friends that I've met just through business, and taking care of them properly and building relationships is what it's all about. You both are really good at it as well. That's why we all get along. And that's why the people that surround us get along so well, because life and business, both personal, like I said, personal and business is about relationships and treating people well and passing it forward.
You're the best. I love it. You're the best.
Well, Flowers, Colin and I are wrapping up, and I just want to say one more thing, because we were talking about getting cut and that conversation that you have at the end of your training camp when you get cut. And I will tell you, Colin, like, for me, like, especially like when I look back on it now, and I know kids now are different, like, you've got to be really, really soft with them now for the most part. But like, the one thing that always frustrated me, and I bought it my first training camp because I did make it. Like, I made it to opening night because Adam Foote had an injury. And so, like, Shaddy had already gotten sent down. It's the only time I ever beat him at anything in our life, and it didn't last very long. But he had already gotten sent down to the minors, and I had made it to opening night, and which just so happens to be in Philadelphia. Go figure. So, like, I'm playing for free that night as it is. And then I get scratched after warmups. And then after the game, we get on the plane and they tell me I'm getting sent to the minors. And the conversation was like the one we talked about. Here's what we need. You had a great camp. You forced us into keeping you here, even though you're 21 and you're not ready and this and that. So, like, it was a really good meeting, really positive. And I was like, okay. And I really bought it. And then I got called up like 2 weeks later and played a couple of games before I got traded. So, like, it was true. Well, then when I got to Boston and I went through a number of training camps there, it was literally the same meeting every year. And I was just like, by like the 3rd or 4th time, I'm like, guys, just tell me I'm not good enough. Like, let's just, like, I don't need this, like, you're getting called up, you're the next guy. We just need you to work on this little bit, or we've got contract issues. Like, just give it to me straight. Like, stop with the bullshit, guys. Like, just tell me, like, if I was good enough, I would be staying here. So let's just be honest with one another. And that, I fucking hated that part of it. It was just never, to me, it was never straightforward. Now, Bruce Cassidy, who was my coach, who's now the coach in Vegas, he was a straight shooter. He was a coach in Providence in the American League, and he was not afraid to fucking tell you how it was. And while that was something that was tough, I also respect that, and I respect it even more now as into my mid-30s and as a parent and this and that, and seeing how successful he's been. But I didn't like those meetings of getting sent down or cut or whatever, or even traded, because I just felt that they weren't genuine. I never felt that they were genuine. I would have so much preferred, hey, you're just not good enough right now. You need to go down there and do X, Y, and Z, not we love you. You're one of our guys. You have a future here. You're going to do this for us at some point. Like, just fucking enough with that. After 3-4 years of that conversation, I'm like, guys, like, what are we doing here? Like, come on. Stop it. Like, let me go elsewhere. So that's why I asked you that question and why we got into that conversation.
Go ahead, Larry. You want to jump in?
I certainly do. Listen,
I know you do.
So a guy like myself who wasn't able to get to those levels professionally as an athlete, like, I was always a really good athlete, but it is what it is. Guys like yourselves that put your body on the line and sacrifice so much, for your respective sports, through college and through the pros, again, sacrificing everything, your health, to try to make it. I always like to remind people like you guys, and I know this doesn't give any comfort because you're so ultra competitive and you want to make it and you want to thrive in your environment, but I always like to remind people like yourselves, you can't get cut if you're not invited, right? So you're still, if it brings any solace to you guys are still elite athletes. You're ultra competitive, and there's millions of people that wish they even had the opportunity to be in a position to be cut in the first place. And so, it's very, very hard to make it at the very highest level. But you guys are still elite athletes, and you should be very, very proud of what you've accomplished in your careers because you're both legends.
I appreciate you bringing that in perspective, Larry. And I think Colby and I appreciate it. We talked about that a little bit earlier about how somebody asked me to hang my Temple jersey on the wall at Chickies and Pete's in South Philly. And I'm like, hell no, I don't deserve to be on that wall, because it's that upper echelon now. Now we're competing in that world. You just boom, boom. It's like you don't want to compete against your mom and pop jeweler. You're competing against the best jewelers in the country now. That's where you see yourself. I'm the man, so it's tough, but
but listen, you don't forget, like, through your college years and even through your youth sports years and stuff. I mean, the people you influence and the people who followed you and the people whose lives you impacted doing what you do, even if it's just at the college level, like, those are impacts. Those matter. You impacted lives. That's what you compete for yourself, for your teammates, for your coaches, and for the people that support you. So don't ever forget that, man. It's very, very important. That's coming from a friend that's got a lot of guys that played in the NHL, Major League Baseball, professional sports. From me to you, you guys are legends, man.
Look at that, Colby. We can go out on top. It's a great discussion, Colby. I've had a couple guys up there, a couple of my NFL buddies go up there and flip some tables now and say, I don't want that answer either. And it's burned them. It's the fine line of just shoot me straight. Give it to me, guys.
Yeah.
I want to know. Or there's also professionalism to it too, which I'm sure you have. There's a fine line of it. Like,
I'm learning it right now because, the one other thing that I'm super involved in right now is I work with this team called the Philadelphia Flyers Warriors.
Yeah.
It's a hockey program for veterans, disabled veterans. And when I say disabled, like, these guys are good athletes. These are not physically disabled guys. These are guys who have been rated by the VA. Most of them have some form of PTSD and have dealt with stuff like that because a lot of them served 4 and 5 tours through Afghanistan, Iraq, Yemen, Somalia, crazy stuff. So we've got 4 tiers. We've got 120 players on the Flyers Warriors, and we've got all levels, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. And we've got a couple guys on tier 1 that were Division 1, played at Army, played at, different Division 1 schools. Like, they're good. And they have asked me to come in and join the program and be the coach and work with those teams. And I'm learning how to have those conversations because one of the first things that I realized that I had to do was set everybody's expectations for what their role was on the team, because there just wasn't a lot of clarity surrounding that. So, like, I had to be the one to start sitting down and having that conversation with players and seeing, like, okay, this guy has this personality, so we need to have this type of conversation. I can't go at it as head on, where some guys you can just go at it head on. They just want it down and dirty. And so it's funny, like, now, again, this isn't pro sports, but these guys treat it like it's pro sports. And I give them the effort like it is. We do video, we do meetings, we do pre-practice meetings. Like, and I run the practices with all drills that I've done at the highest levels. Send the guys video clips after the games, all that shit. I text them, hey, watch this player on this team, watch all of his shifts tonight and report back to me. Like, let me know what you saw. So, I'm giving them the effort they're giving me, but I'm sort of learning what it's like to be on the other side of it. And I'm making sure that I remember, like, the lessons and the things that I did and didn't like when I was going through it, and trying to like incorporate that. But it is hard. Like, it is tough because you got to learn how to deal with every player that's going to be in a positive manner for them, that's going to benefit the greater good of the team. Because I said to the guys, do you guys want to be a men's league team, or do you guys want to be a real hockey team and win and try to win the national and the Winter Classic or the Warrior Classic and all? And they're like, we will make sacrifices. Like, if you don't think I'm a first liner and it's better for the team, like, I'll listen. And these are coachable guys. They're used to taking orders, right? Like,
that's a beautiful thing.
It's a great group of guys. It's an unbelievable program. We were just in Colorado for a week. We had so much fun on and off the ice. Our next big thing, we've got some games, but nationals are in April. And, like, we practice once or twice a week, but, like, the guys are so committed. They're so bought in. I send them, like, a couple video clips and I'm like, guys, we're going to work on breakouts on Sunday and like watch how this team breaks the puck out. And I send them a bunch of clips of like, Detroit or whoever I like and whoever I'm watching. And like, they're like, that's it. You don't have more for us. Like they're so invested and so involved. So it's an unbelievable program that I'm really enjoying sort of my role within that program. And the other thing too is like, it's a program that saves people's lives. Like these guys sometimes are a little bit lost and they need a team because they're used to being on a team. So the fact that we can rally around hockey is it's fucking awesome. So that's
good for you, Colby. That's awesome.
That's great, man.
Good for you.
Great you're involved in it. It's been great getting to know you today. That's why I snipped the pre-talk as much as we can because we could just chop it up on here.
Yeah.
We'll definitely be either working together or be friends after this.
Just make sure mine goes before Larry's. I don't want to follow Larry, okay? You can't follow Flowers because he's got way better he's got better stories than me for days. So I want my episode first.
I mean, look at those teeth. I'm blinded.
I know. Expensive
jib.
now.
New jibs. Hey, listen, Colby, thanks for coming on. Larry, thanks for popping in. We're about to do another
See you,
show.
Flowers. Good seeing you,
Colby,
brother. Good job.
bro.
See you, boys.
My boy.
See ya.